Hello and welcome. This is Japan, and this is my push or not push men's edition. We did this a while back or not a while back, I think it was about a week ago for the women, and I wanted to do men, and we're going to do it today. I feel like we have some NXT people in here, so I'm going to put the NXT on the bottom because I like to do that in a different video. So if you see me skipping over, that's why we're going to go on who's main event talent right now or who should be in the main event or like soon to be. We got mid card talent. We got rising, which basically just means like their stock is going up farther and further. And then don't push just means like either they don't just need a push right or like I don't want to say deserves, but like I don't think they should push them right now because of whatever reason that I say. And this is just my opinion. You guys sound off in the comments and tell me that I'm wrong. So let's go up with Angelo Dawkins, part of the Street Profit, part of the Pride. I like Angelo a lot, but I feel like he's kind of handcuffed being in a tag team, at least for a push wise. I think that they are eventually going to be the tag team champions again. So I'm gonna put them in Rising just because of that, and I'll probably put Montez forward whenever I see him wherever he is on this thing in the same category because I feel like they're technically going around. They're gonna get maybe a tag team opportunity, but overall, I mean that's the push that they're getting, and it can still be amazing and still work out really well for them. But I don't think you get like a solo push or solo matches anytime soon for Dawkins at least. Next up is AJ Styles. He has a main event match against Cody Rhodes for the Backlash title. I think he's always kind of in that main event style, and yeah, I mean it makes sense. I mean he has long feat of history with a lot of different superstars. He's always going to be up there in that top thing. I do really wish they would put a title on him, even if I know mid card titles are not always the best. I feel like just putting something around his belt with the matches that he can have with people, I think will really help. But I mean, he is a main event talent, so I mean it's like shooting below your weight class at that point. But maybe they'll have a little bit more stuff planned for him. But he does have a match against Cody Rhodes, so that's definitely main event. Now we got one half of the Offers of Pain, part of the Final Testament. I'm gonna be honest, I don't know the name between the two of them because even though they have the name tags, I haven't watched many of their matches. They are juggernauts, like big guys that have some good strength, but I feel like they're just not going to get that push. I just feel like like the Final Testament, I think is going to be around, and they're like even in NXT a little bit right now, but I just don't think we're going to see titles on them. We'll see some title matches. I think, like especially if the Pride win the titles, we might get a rematch with them because they're still kind of feuding with Bobby Lashley and all them. But I don't think that they're going to get that. Next up, we have Andrade, which Andrade is just an absolute beast in the ring. I don't know what they're planning on doing, but in my opinion, I think he should be a main eventer. I could definitely see him going for a mid-card title and really being good with it. So, but I just really like him in that main event scene. So I'm gonna say soon to be. I kind of want to will it into existence, but you don't know how that goes. Next we got Andre Chase being down. We're gonna go with the NXT. I forgot. We'll put him back down here. No offense, but on the NXT you're gonna go in the bottom for the time being because we're going to do a separate video. I completely just messed up my own rules. Next up we have Angel. Like again with the tag team ones are weird because you're part of a faction, part of a tag team, and so you're only gonna go as limited of what your team is gonna go. So I don't think they're really gonna have much more than just having maybe a title match at some point with whatever brand that they're in. But so I'm gonna say he's not in the push area. Like I don't think they're gonna push him. Apollo Crews, just star of main event right now, the actual show. Because he's on there a lot, which hey, it's screen time. People are watching it. It's getting you out there. A lot of people don't even get that, but I don't think he's going to get a push anytime soon. I liked what he had, like that good rivalry with Big E, but I think like you have to really give him a person that he can really match that energy with. I think this is Adonis. Like they showed him a little bit with Cedric Alexander, but then they just dropped that. I think, and yeah, just gonna have to put you on the don't push because I don't think it's a thing. Next up, we've got Austin Theory, current tag team champion. I guess we'll just kind of put them in the Rising with that too, because I mean they're gonna get some matches and they're kind of in that area. I think that's kind of where you put them. I don't see them holding on to those titles for a super long time, but um, they're a pretty decent tag team, at least on the mic, and I think I think Austin Theory has had an up and down career in the WWE, so I think hopefully this will be hopefully a rebound and maybe get him to turn maybe face and maybe bring back the way. Like there could be a lot of stuff that they do with him, so I think he's still rising, and I think he's gonna get a push that way. I guess the rising is the push. Let me just go /push. Push. Axiom, go down there. I'm going to put Baron Corbin down there. I think he's going to still stay down there for a little bit longer. I could possibly see him come back up in the draft, but I think right now, I think the NXT title is still in his sights, but we'll see. He kind of had the side quest with Braun Breaker, and I think, I think that's where. I don't think that. I think that ended that part, but I think he still has other stuff that he wants to do down there. Next up, we got Lashley. Lashley is always going to be just a staple. I think with him currently, though, I think he's kind of just out. Like, he had the opportunity to be in the triple threats to possibly face Cody, and I know he's in a rivalry right now, but I think right now Lashley kind of feels like he's not going to get a push anytime soon. So I think he's just kind of hovering around the mid card. Like, he'll be on matches. He might get a couple PLEs a year, but I feel like he's not going to be in the main event, and I don't think he's going to get anything too crazy on opportunities anytime soon. But if they were going to go towards the mid-card title, the U.S. title, Intercontinental title, some of those, he could possibly be in the running for, depending on where they needed him. Next up is Braun Strowman. Braun Strowman's still hurt, so I don't really know, so I'm going to put him down there because, I think with what they're trying to do, if they're trying to bring back the Wyatt family, I think he will have that opportunity to be in that, and that will propel him much higher. But if he's nowhere near being back, it's hard to say where he's going. Next up, we got Braun Breaker. He's going to be pushed to the moon. I think they instantly push him to a mid-card talent. Like, if he is ready, I think he will be somebody that could possibly even get like Logan Paul's title right away, because he's Braun Breaker and he's just been absolutely amazing in NXT. He's a legacy. I think everything about him fits. He's good on the mic, good in the ring. Rising, definitely. I think he's definitely going to be pushed. Bronson Reed's a weird one because he gets a push every once in a while and it just kind of fades. I don't think there's anything against him personally. I think they just don't know exactly where to put him. And I think at the moment he's just not going to get a push. He possibly could be towards the speed title on X, but I don't really know if you count that as really being like a pushed area. I know it's probably going to be at least a cool thing for people to be doing some extra stuff, but I think it's going to be on the don't push. Then we have Brutus Creed. I think him and his brother, because most tag teams here have the fates going together. I've heard a lot of inklings that him, his brother, and then Chad Gable could make a cool heel faction. I'm 100,000,000% on that. So in that case, either way, I'm putting him on a rising and push because the Creed brothers all together have great matches, anyways, and that's why they got to that main roster so fast. And now with the 2 titles, they will have something. I would love to see them dethrone one of the tag team title holders and have a longer reign of just really good matches against some really good tag teams. And I think this is why they need a push. Cameron Grimes. We haven't seen much of him. Kind of turned into a main roster jobber to a certain extent. I don't think you push him because it's been a year and he's had very little matches, very little screen time. He kind of beat Baron Corbin. They had like this little thing during draft night, and that was it. So I don't know. I don't think that's going to be great. Next up is Carlito. Carlito was great when he came back. I think he got that big pop, and they just kind of have him in the background. I think they kind of just have him waiting to possibly turn on Ray, and I think that's what everybody's assuming, so they're not going to do it. But because they're not going to do it, there's not much else he can do, so I'm going to put him in not push right now. Plus, he's on the older side. I don't think he's really looking to get pushed too far. Never say never on what you want. But I mean, he's obviously back here to do some stuff. But I don't think he's going to get a push anytime soon. I think he's just here for just putting in some good matches, helping out with the LWO, and that's about it. And then we got Carmelo Hayes, possibly someone that will be drafted up depending on how they want to finish that story with Trick Williams. I'm going to put him in Rising and a push. I think once he gets to the main roster, I think he should get pushed pretty hard. He's got the whole package that everybody talks about: the physique, the ability, the promos, everything. He's definitely pushed like a guy. You just push him. I could see him possibly, capturing the title pretty early. And him and Braun Breaker, great rivalry down in NXT. Bringing that to the main roster, I think, will just even be better to a bigger audience. Next up is Cedric Alexander. Cedric Alexander is like one of those wrestlers I just really like watching him wrestle. He does a really good job. But I feel like past that Hurt Business when they used to have it, I don't think he's going to get another push anytime soon. He's same thing with Adonis. Like, they showed him, and then that was it. Next up, we got Chad Gable. I mean, obviously, with his heel turn on Sami Zayn last week, I think that's going to put him in the big push. Hopefully, possibly being a menace for a while. I don't know if it's going to bring him gold, but I do like what they're going to do with it. Or I'm happy with what they're going to try to do with him. So I'm going to go and push. I think it's kind of what the course of the story is going anyway. So I guess we will see that. CM Punk, main eventer. Should be pretty easy. Cody Rhodes, main eventer. Corey Graves, obviously going to be on commentator, so it's not going to be that. Damian Priest, main eventer, because he's the world heavyweight title holder, and I think he will be a main eventer for at least the foreseeable summer, and not a little bit else. Dexter Lumis hasn't been around, so I'm going to have to go on the don't push. He's been acting, so that's good. Hopefully he's doing some stuff that he enjoys. Next up is Dijak. Dijak has had some amazing matches in NXT. I think you push him. I think you bring him up in the main roster. You just got to give him something and somebody to work with that is going to make this beautiful magic. And if they can find a few guys that fit that like Fane, maybe even like a little bit of a rivalry, he will show what he's got, and I like that. Dominic, I don't even know if you would say like Dominic is a main eventer or not. He's main evented a lot of nights of SmackDown and Raw, so I count him as a main eventer to me. I don't, being that he's only had a NXT championship, I think is kind of where I'm not sure what to do with him. I'm gonna put him in soon to be just because I think like he technically, I don't know if you technically count that as his main event. He's had some good matches. I wouldn't be surprised if we see him fight Cody for the champion at one point, because that's just kind of the natural thing. So that's how it's going to feel. I feel like he's going to be soon main eventer, and he's so young and has the lineage of being, a Mysterio, that we're going to see a lot of him, for the foreseeable future, and I'm happy with it. I think he's a great heel, and I like it. Next up, we got Dragon Lee. Dragon Lee's a weird one because it's like he got a big push, and then them pulling the stuff at WrestleMania with him being like, hurt, and then putting Andrade in his spot, I think might have been a dagger into his kind of push. So I'm going to say that he's not going to be pushed anytime soon because of that. I think he's good. I really do. And I think that was a big sign. I know Andrade was the big free agent signing, but they could have added just one extra member. They could have made it also just like an LWO versus them match, and just had like a 8-man tag team match, or even a 6-man, but they didn't. So I have a feeling that was their plan all along. Drew McIntyre, he's going to be in the main event, obviously trying to get back his title that he lost by getting cashed in on. So I think definitely main event. Pretty Deadly. It's kind of an interesting one because I don't know if they necessarily fit in that rat race of tag teams right now. So I'm gonna say don't push, and when I find the other one, I'll put him in there too. It's just I don't think at the moment he's gonna have that push that we think he's gonna have, or both of them. Next up, we have this would be Eric. He's still hurt, so I don't know. Then we have Finn Balor. Finn Balor's weird because now that they don't have the tag team titles, he's kind of one of those people right in the middle that doesn't have much to do. And I don't know if he'll have much to do for a little bit, except for maybe possibly turning on Damian, which could very well be a good matchup that feeds the summer. If he doesn't turn on Damian, I don't really know what they're going to do. So I'm going to put Finn Balor in the main event because I feel like he is that talent. But unless he does that, I just don't know what they do with him unless they have something planned or they have somebody else here that fits. I think the draft hopefully will give the Judgment Day some refresh on some of their opponents and possibly other factions to go to war with. And I think that would be nice. Then we have Giovanni Vinci. Yes, why did I say Da Vinci? Well, okay. Part of Imperium. Imperium themselves seem more of a faction that is on the outs because of Gunther not having the title. I think in general, I don't think he's going to get a push anytime soon compared to Ludwig, but I think both of them kind of will fall under that, the same thing. Like, they don't know. Grayson Waller, we're going to put him next to his tag team partner. He's going to be getting the push as the tag team champions. I think it's good for him because he's only been on the main roster for a year, and he's been a great talent. So I think it works perfectly. Gunther, he's been main event. I think he'll be main event. I think a lot of these summers being over in Europe, I think he'll have some more premium live events, even if he's not necessarily going for a title. But I think he'll have some really good matches, and I mean, obviously he's main event right now, so I don't see him slipping that much further after he gets back from whatever break or whatever he's doing. Now we got Berto, and he falls under the same that Angel falls under, that they're part of a faction, but I think they're more of like henchman faction people than actually their own tag team, so I think that's going to kind of be negative for him. Next up, we got Ilya Dragunov. Now, I think Dragunov for sure is somebody that's going to be pushed, but I think this is going to be how I feel with all the European events, that he's going to be pushed to the towards the main event scene. I know it's kind of crazy because he's just going to be coming out of NXT, but I think with him, him and Gunther will have a match probably at Bash in Berlin, and I think that will set him up to being red hot. And I'm going to say that it's a little bit of a bolder one out of all these choices, but I think that's where it is. I think he's soon to be a main event person in the sense that he'll be around where Gunther is and some other talent and possibly take that next shot. The problem with like the mid card is like sometimes even if you don't have a title, some of that like main event area, like the last couple matches in a pay-per-view, even a good opening match, he might be there. So I think that's kind of where I see him being. Next we got Ivar. Ivar is extremely talented. They kind of have him now in NXT going after the North American title. I'm cool with that. I think him and Oba Fetty will have amazing matches because of their strength. Keep pushing Ivar. I've been a big fan of Ivar ever since he went solo because of Eric's injury. I don't necessarily like the Viking Raiders part of his thing. I don't know what else they can do with him. He's kind of limited, I think, to the gimmicks, but just keep doing what he's doing, and I think subbing will stick. JD Dunnan, I mean, obviously part of Judgment Day, he's going to get somewhat of a push, but I don't think he's going to get like that, like a title or anything soon. But I mean, he's in a good position being young in a big faction, and I think, eventually it's going to go. Then we got Jey Uso. Even though Jey Uso, I think he's going to have, that title match with, Damian Priest, he's always going to be hovering around that main event scene because of, being part of the bloodline, doing all that. So I'll say like soon to be, main event. I think he'll be in a lot of main events. He'll be in a lot of things, maybe even like the War Games match this year if they do like another bloodline match or even, something like that. With the bloodline still being a big story, I think Jay will still be a big part of a lot of things. So I'm going to say he's soon to be main event. He's obviously already main evented a lot of stuff, and that's his nickname, so it works out perfectly. Jimmy is a weird one because I feel like he's been written off a little bit because of like the thing, but he's still going to be in that bloodline story that he's going to be around all the time. So technically speaking, I don't think he's like going to be at the end of a match, but he's going to be really prominently around. So I'm going to put him in the mid card. It's like a weird thing with saying mid card because it's, but I feel like he's upper echelon, like not quite main event, but not quite going to be somebody that they use sparingly. I think once they kind of work in his story with this new bloodline, that he's going to be around a lot. Next up, we have, Joaquin Wilde. he's done some amazing stuff. Him and his partner with the LWO, like the two that have been going back and forth. This one, I don't remember his name to be honest. I don't think he's gonna get a push, but I do like what they've been doing. Then we got Joe Gacy. I've never been a big fan of Joe Gacy's character or whatever. I'm gonna put don't push. It's just not my thing, but it definitely could get more over when the roster down in NXT, maybe has a couple people moving because of the draft. But I wouldn't be on the push fade. Joey Gargano, I like DIY. I think Gargano's great with that, and I think they're gonna be tag team champs at some point. So I guess we put them in the Rising because of that. I think that's kind of where you put them in that because they're gonna be tag team champions at some point. I just kind of walked around that one. I think that's the best way of putting it. Obviously got Julius Creed. I think overall he's gonna be even better when he goes solo too. And the Creed brothers will be great. So, definitely push into him. Then this is Carl Anderson. I loved the shit that he used to do. And is that Carl Anderson? I always get them too confused, both of them. But they're part of the OC, or what was formerly the OC. I don't think they're going to give him a push anytime soon. I don't even know if they're still kind of on the roster. I'm going to put both of them together. I also saw Ford, so I'm going to put Ford up here with Dawkins because I was meant to do that earlier. So next up we have Karrion Kross. Karrion Kross is a weird one because he's kind of in this rivalry with Bobby Lashley. He's kind of doing some NXT stuff. I feel like him down in NXT for a while might be something that like how Baron Corbin's kind of getting a resurgence. I'm going to put him in the mid card because I think when he comes back he's going to be a lot better off if they do it right. I just have a good feeling, but Karrion Kross has been a 50-50 guy for a lot of people, so it might not be what everybody thinks, but I'm going to put him in the mid card way. Kevin Owens is another one. He's right in there with like matches and doing a lot of stuff, but I think when the dust settles, I don't know where they're going to put him. So I think at the moment he's in that mid card. He's going to maybe go for some of the mid card titles. You never know. He could possibly challenge Sammy for the Intercontinental title. Not as necessarily a bad thing, just as we're friends. I would like to try, maybe. I don't know if that works. Other part of Pretty Deadly, we're gonna put in Don't Push. Kofi's interesting. New Day, I think, will always be a good faction and will always be a good tag team, but I think at their part of where they're at, I don't think they'll be doing a lot of winning. I could see them winning the titles for like a little bit, like maybe for like a PLE, maybe couple months here and there, but I don't see anything too crazy coming from them. I just think it's just kind of where they're at. They've had some long and good careers. I'm going to put them in Don't Push. I'm going to put both of them there. That's kind of how I feel it. Then we got LA Knight. LA Knight's been hovering around the main event scene. He's been doing a lot of stuff like that. I think he's just still in that cusp of just being a main event talent all the time. I don't know if you would... I guess you would put him up there right now because of it. It's just kind of one of those things. Logan Paul, he's main event because he's got a title on him. He's doing stuff. Being the sponsor of a lot of these PLEs, he's going to be around for a long time, and he's kind of earned his spot there. Even though I don't personally like him outside of wrestling, inside of wrestling, I at least can respect what he's done. Ludwig Kaiser, again, I think you put him in the Don't Push at the moment because I think Imperium themselves are going to be kind of imploding during all this. I think out of him and Vinci, I think he's definitely the better one, better on the mic. He could possibly try to take over Imperium himself and maybe have a little bit of a rivalry with Gunther. I'd be cool with that. That could also bring in Ilya Dragunov to maybe revitalize Imperium. There could be a lot that they could have these little stories and stuff, but at the moment, I think you don't push him. It just kind of really depends on what they do with Dragunov. Otis is a weird one because like if Chad's getting the push and him kind of being out of, is he going to be out of Alpha Academy? They're not going to be predominantly happy with what Chad Gable did, so I'm going to say Otis doesn't really get a push. I think maybe he tries to stop Chad and that will give him like a good match, but I don't think after that we'll see much of Otis other than maybe with being with Tozawa. Maybe they're going to be partners. I don't even see Tozawa on this list. McAfee, obviously not going to be pushed because he's the commentator. We got Pete Dunne. I was calling him to call him Butch. I mean, he's been around a lot of premium live events last year. If you think about it, Money in the Bank, he had the tag match against the Judgment Day. So he's been there, and he's kind of been in that mid card. So I'm gonna put him in there. Like I feel like he's not necessarily rising because I don't think him and Tyler Bate are gonna really get that push that they want. I mean, I think there'll be a few tag matches. They might get an opportunity for the tag titles, but I don't think there's gonna be much more than that. And just having some title like tag matches in general. But I think him personally, I think it will set him up to a part where I hope eventually he has a match against Sheamus because it would be great. We also got R-Truth here. R-Truth has been pushed a lot. I mean, he's the tag team champions right now, and he's been doing great with a lot of his comedy and stuff. So I think they continue to push him in the way that they're using him for his talent. Randy Orton is a main event talent. He always will be. He could possibly have a match against Cody Rhodes down the line. I would love to see that. Next up, we have, I do not remember your name. I was hoping by the time I got back to you, you would. I put him with his other LWO member here. I think we'll see them because like the LWO still will be a pretty decent faction and have a lot of decent screen time, but I don't really see them doing anything other than losing tag matches or saving Rey Mysterio for the time being. Speaking of Rey Mysterio, we got him next. We'll put him. See, Rey's always been like an area where he's a main eventer. I think right now they're currently using him towards that it would be that mid card talent because I don't see him having a championship anytime soon, but he's still going to be in matches that might be on premium live events, so he'll be around there. Here's the other one of the Offers of Pain. Put him with him. Ricochet is another interesting one because Ricochet's had some really good pushes, had some really good matches. He had a little bit of an injury, so I think like the concussion, I think that knocked him out for a little bit. But I think overall, Ricochet will still be in that mid card talent area, and yeah, so I think that's where we put him. Yeah, I mean it's the Tribal Chief. I mean once he comes back, that storyline will be hot, just burning hot. So we'll put him in the main event. Sammy also main event, being the current Intercontinental title holder. I think his championship reign is going to last a pretty decent amount of time, and it's going to have some pretty good stories. I think so far we've kind of seen that with Chad Gable. We could see one with Kevin Owens. We could see one with a couple other people, even like Jay, Jimmy, if they wanted to do something like that. They could do a lot of stuff with him, and I think that's where it goes. Santos Escobar, I feel like they're never going to pull the trigger on him. I think he's there. He's going to have some opportunities, but even though he was just in that triple threat to possibly face Cody Rhodes, I think, I'll change him up to mid card. I think he'll be around that area, but I don't see him going. I don't see him pushing. I just see that they're going to use him a lot, and I guess that's better than nothing. Seth Rollins when he comes back, obviously main event. Oops, I didn't need to put a soon-to-be main event. Obviously just there. Sheamus, it's weird. I wouldn't want to put them in soon-to-be main event, but I think once he's healthier, he will be pushing for a title. So I'm gonna put him in the mid card because I think like he has obviously done some great stuff, and he's been doing stuff all together, like for years now. Next up, we got Shinsuke Nakamura. Nakamura's a weird one because like they've used him all over the place, and then they just had him lose to Ilya Dragunov, and I think he's just kind of slowly falling back. I'm gonna still put him in the mid card talent because he's still gonna be used in a higher thing, but I don't see where that's gonna change anytime soon. Solo Sikoa, he's soon to be main event, obviously with this new Bloodline thing, but they gotta kind of get him back on track of being that dangerous monster. Ever since he's beaten John Cena, he's lost most of his matches or been disqualified or any of that type of stuff. So, that's what it's gonna be. Tama Tonga, I think, is a person that with his pedigree and all of the stuff he's done overseas, he will be in the main event scene because obviously that storyline's going to be hot. It's going to be up there. I don't know if he necessarily will have a championship reign or anything, but he will definitely have some really marquee matches between now and next WrestleMania. The Miz, being one half of the tag team champions, I think will still be getting that push for a while. I don't I really honestly don't know out of the two tag teams who would lose it first. I feel like you keep Austin Fury and Grayson Waller for a while because like they're good heel faction and all that. And then with R-Truth and Miz, they're a fan favorite, so it's kind of hard to say. I don't know. You pull the plug when they start to fade a little bit, or do you just pull the plug very early because their main thing was to mess with the Judgment Day? I'm not sure. Tommaso Ciampa, he's getting a good push right now, and I think they're gonna have a chance for those tag team champions. I'm gonna put them in Rising. Tyler Bates a weird one because like he's kind of been in the tag team with Pete Dunne, but I don't see them personally pushing him, through. I think he will be in like the tag talk for a while, but I don't think anything more than that. And Wesley, because he's injured, we're gonna have to put Don't Know. Plus, he's NXT. They didn't have many NXT people here, but that is definitely one that's gonna be like that because it's, he's hurt. So yeah, that is it. It's kind of a longer video. The giant men's roster. I'm gonna try to do the NXT one at some point and check out the rest of the videos. I'm gonna try to post daily content. I have gaming stuff, so there'll be some gaming stuff in between that because I stream live on Twitch. But the rest of it will be the content of wrestling. And just tell me what you guys think in the comments below. Bye, guys.